Latest type machinery and methods of production make it a factory of outstanding efficiency. Labor management relations seem as nearly perfect as is possible among imperfect human beings. A spirit of goodwill pervades the entire organization. His office is ultra-modernistically decorated and furnished with handsome desks, rugs, and paneled with exotic woods. The decorating scheme is 5 startling colors blended together pleasingly. All in all, it is the last word, and then some. Imagine, then, my surprise to see on his highly polished white mahogany desk an old battered copy of the Bible. It was the only old object in those ultra-modern rooms. I commented upon this seemingly strange inconsistency. "That book," he replied, pointing to the Bible, "is the most up-to-date thing in this plant. Equipment wears out and furnishing styles change, but that book is so far ahead of us that it never gets out of date. When I went to college, my good Christian mother gave me that Bible with the suggestion that if I would read and practice its teachings, I would learn how to get through life successfully. But I thought she was just a nice old lady." He chuckled. "At my age she seemed old, she wasn't he really?" And to humor her, I took the Bible, but for years practically never looked at it. I thought I didn't need it. Well," he continued slangily, "I was a dope. I was stupid. And I got my life in a terrific mess. Everything went wrong, primarily because I was wrong. I was thinking wrong, acting wrong, doing wrong. Succeeded at nothing, failed at everything. Now I realize that my principal trouble was wrong thinking. I was negative, resentful, cocky, opinionated. Nobody could tell me anything. I thought I knew everything. I was filled with gripes at everybody. Little wonder nobody liked me. I certainly was a washout." Quote, so ran his dismal story. One night in going through some papers, he continued, I came across the long-forgotten Bible. It brought up old memories, and I started aimlessly to read it. Do you know, it is strange how things happen, how in just a flashing moment of time everything becomes different. Well, as I read, a sentence leaped up at me, a sentence that changed my life, and when I say changed, I mean changed. From the minute I read that sentence everything has been different, tremendously different. What is this wonderful sentence? I wanted to know, and he quoted it slowly, quote, "The Lord is the strength of my life, in this will I be confident." Left parenthesis PS 27:1-3. I don't know why that one line affected me so, he went on, but it did. I know now that I was weak, and a failure, because I had no faith, no confidence. I was very negative, a defeatist. Something happened inside my mind. I guess I had what they call a spiritual experience. My thought pattern shifted from negative to positive. I decided to put my faith in God and sincerely do my best, trying to follow the principles outlined in the Bible. As I did, so I began to get hold of a new set of thoughts. I began to think differently. In time my old failure thoughts were flushed out by this new spiritual experience, and an inflow of new thoughts gradually but actually remade me. So concluded the story of this businessman. He altered his thinking, and the new thoughts which flowed in displaced the old thoughts which had been defeating him, and his life was changed. This incident illustrates an important fact about human nature. You can think your way to failure and unhappiness, but you can also think your way to success and happiness. The world in which you live is not primarily determined by outward conditions and circumstances, but by thoughts that habitually occupy your mind. Remember the wise words of Marcus Aurelius, one of the great thinkers of antiquity, who said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." It has been said that the wisest man who ever lived in America was Ralph Waldo Emerson, the sage of Concord. Emerson declared, "A man is what he thinks about all day long." A famous psychologist says, there is a deep tendency in human nature to become precisely like that which you habitually imagine yourself to be. It has been said that thoughts are things, that they actually possess dynamic power. Judged by the power they exercise, one can readily accept such an appraisal. You can actually think yourself into or out of situations. You can make yourself ill with your thoughts, and by the same token you can make yourself well by the use of a different and healing type of thought. Think one way and you attract the conditions which that type of thinking indicates. Think another way and you can create an entirely different set of conditions. Conditions are created by thoughts far more powerfully than thoughts create conditions. Think positively, for example, and you set in motion positive forces which bring positive results to pass. Positive thoughts create around yourself an atmosphere propitious to the development of positive outcomes. On the contrary, think negative thoughts and you create around yourself an atmosphere propitious to the development of negative results. To change your circumstances, first start thinking differently. Do not passively accept unsatisfactory circumstances, but form a picture in your mind of circumstances as they should be. Hold that picture, develop it firmly in all details, believe in it, pray about it, work at it, and you can actualize it according to that mental image emphasized in your positive thinking. This is one of the greatest laws in the universe. Fervently do I wish I had discovered it as a very young man. It dawned upon me much later in life, and I have found it to be one of the greatest, if not my greatest discovery, outside of my relationship to God. And in a deep sense this law is a factor in one's relationship with God, because it channels God's power into personality. This great law, briefly and simply stated, is that, if you think in negative terms you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms you will achieve positive results. That is the simple fact which is at the basis of an astonishing law of prosperity and success. In 3 words: believe and succeed. I learned this law in a very interesting manner. Some years ago a group of us consisting of Lowell Thomas, Captain Eddie Rickenbacker, Branch Rickey, Raymond Thornburg, and others established an inspirational self-help magazine called Goodipusts. This magazine has a double function. First, by relating stories of people who through their faith have overcome difficulties, it teaches techniques of victorious living, victory over fear, over circumstances, over obstacles, over resentment. It teaches faith over all manner of negativism. Second, as a non-profit, non-sectarian, interfaith publication, it teaches the great fact that God is in the stream of history, and that this nation was founded on belief in God and His laws. The magazine reminds its readers that America is the first great nation in history to be established on a definitely religious premise, and that, unless we keep it, so our freedoms will deteriorate. Mr. Raymond Thornburg as publisher, and I as editor, in starting the magazine had no financial backing to underwrite it. It was begun on faith. In fact, its first offices were in rooms above a grocery store in the little village of Pawling, New York. There was a borrowed typewriter, a few rickety chairs, and that was all. All except a great idea and great faith. Slowly a subscription list of 25,000 developed. The future seemed promising. Suddenly one night fire broke out, and within an hour the publishing house was destroyed, and with it the total list of subscribers. Foolishly no duplicate list had been made. Lowell Thomas, loyal and efficient patron of Goodipusts from the very start, mentioned this sad circumstance on his radio broadcast, and as a result we soon had 30,000 subscribers, practically all the old ones and many new ones. The subscription list rose to approximately 40,000, but costs increased even more rapidly. The magazine, which has always been sold for less than cost in order widely to disseminate the message, was more expensive than anticipated, and we were faced with difficult financial problems. In fact, at one time it seemed almost impossible to keep going. At this juncture we called a meeting, and I am sure you never attended a more pessimistic, negative, discouraging meeting. It dripped with pessimism. Where were we going to get the money to pay our bills? We figured out ways of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Complete discouragement filled our minds. A woman had been invited to this meeting whom we all regarded most highly. But one reason she was included in this meeting was because, on a previous occasion, she had contributed $2,000 to help inaugurate Goodipusts magazine. It was hoped that lightning might strike twice in the same place. But this time she gave us something of more value than money. As this dismal meeting progressed she remained silent for a long time, but finally said, "Suppose you gentlemen would like me to make another financial contribution. I might as well put you out of your misery. I am not going to give you another cent." This did not put us out of our misery. On the contrary, it put us deeper into our misery. "But," she continued, "I will give you something far more valuable than money." This astonished us, for we could not possibly imagine anything of more value than money in the circumstances. "I am going to give you an idea," she continued, "a creative idea." Well, we thought to ourselves enthusiastically, how can we pay our bills with an idea? But an idea is just what will help you pay bills. Every achievement in this world was first projected as a creative idea. First the idea, then faith in it, then the means of implementing the idea. That is the way success proceeds. "Now," she said, "here is the idea. What is your present trouble? It is that you lack everything. You lack money. You lack subscribers. You lack equipment. You lack ideas. You lack courage. Why do you lack all these requirements? Simply because you are thinking lack. If you think lack, you create the conditions that produce a state of lack. By this constant mental emphasis upon what you lack, you have frustrated the creative forces that can give impetus to the development of Goodipusts. You have been working hard from the standpoint of doing many things, but you have failed to do the one all-important thing that will lend power to all your other efforts. You have not employed positive thinking. Instead, you have thought in terms of lack. To correct that situation, reverse the mental process, and begin to think prosperity, achievement, success. This will require practice, but it can be done quickly if you will demonstrate faith. The process is to visualize, that is, to see Gidipus in terms of successful achievement. Create a mental picture of Gidipus as a great magazine, sweeping the country. Visualize large numbers of subscribers, or legally reading this inspirational material and profiting thereby. Create a mental image of lives being changed by the philosophy of achievement which Gidipus teaches monthly in its issues. Do not hold mental pictures of difficulties and failures, but lift your mind above them, and visualize powers and achievements. When you elevate your thoughts into the area of visualized attainment, you look down on your problems, rather than from below up at them, and you get a much more encouraging view of them. Always come up over your problems. Never approach a problem from below. Now let me continue further.